Chosen before the storm arrived, the mark before the rain, chosen one, before the clouds gathered, before the wind learned your name, before the sky rehearsed its thunder, you were already marked, not by accident, not by emotion, not by random chance, marked by design. There are people who are chosen during crisis, and then there are people who are chosen before it. You are the second kind. Long before the storm formed over your life, before betrayal, before delay, before isolation, before misunderstanding. Heaven had already whispered, "Prepare this one." That restlessness you felt as a child, that sense that you didn't fully belong, that quiet awareness that your life would not be ordinary, that was not imagination, that was preparation. Because storms don't create leaders, they reveal them, and you were never meant to drown in what others would call disaster. You were meant to stand in it. Listen carefully. The storm was not sent to destroy you. It was sent to introduce you. Introduce you to your strength. Introduce you to your authority. Introduce you to the version of yourself that comfort could never produce. While others were building comfort, you were building endurance. While others were chasing applause, you were learning silence. While others were demanding clarity, you were being trained in faith. And now the clouds are thick. The pressure feels heavy. The wind is louder than usual. But here is what most people do not understand. When you are chosen before the storm, you are also equipped before the storm. You didn't develop resilience. You carried it. You didn't find courage. It was placed inside you. That's why, even when you felt like quitting, something inside you refused to break. That's not stubbornness. That's divine architecture. Storms test structures, but they cannot collapse foundations that were laid in eternity. The world sees chaos. Heaven sees alignment, because the storm didn't catch you off guard. It walked into a life that had already been prepared. And what looks like pressure is actually positioning. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not unlucky. You are aligned. Every delay trained your patience. Every betrayal sharpened your discernment. Every closed door redirected your steps. Every lonely season strengthened your inner voice. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. Nothing was meaningless. The storm is loud, but your calling is louder. And here is the truth the world has been waiting for. The storm was never the main event. You are. When the wind rises, most people look for shelter. But when you rise, the storm begins to lose authority. Because you were chosen before it arrived, chosen to stand, chosen to speak, chosen to remain steady when others panic. This is not punishment. This is unveiling. The pressure you feel is the wrapping being torn away. The storm is simply removing what comfort was hiding. It is stripping fear, stripping doubt, stripping dependency, stripping the need for validation. And underneath all of that is power. Raw, calm, unshakable power. You were not chosen because you are perfect. You were chosen because you are positioned. There is a difference. Perfection is fragile. Positioning is strategic. And you have been strategically placed in this exact moment in time. Not 5 years earlier. Not 10 years later. Now. Because what is coming requires someone who can stand in turbulence without becoming turbulence. That is you. You have already survived the rehearsal storms, the silent battles no one saw, the nights you cried without witnesses, the seasons where nothing made sense. Those were previews. This is activation, and the world has been waiting for someone who carries peace in chaos, waiting for someone who doesn't react, but responds, waiting for someone who understands that storms are temporary, But identity is permanent. You are not scrambling. You are stabilizing. The storm did not surprise heaven, and it did not surprise the calling over your life. It only surprised those who thought you were fragile. Let them think that. Let them underestimate. Let them misread the quiet. Because when the thunder fades, and the rain slows, and the winds calm, there will be one thing standing. You. Not barely standing, not crawling, not damaged beyond repair, standing with clarity, standing with authority, standing with proof that you were chosen before the storm arrived. And when they ask how you survived it, you won't say you survived it. You will say, I was built for it. The calm that commands the wind. Chosen one. Now, the storm is no longer approaching. It is here. The wind is louder. The pressure is real. The uncertainty is thick. And this is the moment everything shifts. Because storms expose two kinds of people. Those who panic and those who carry calm. You thought your calm was weakness. It wasn't. It was authority in disguise. There is a kind of calm that comes from avoidance. And then there is a kind of calm that comes from identity. Yours is the second. While others are reacting to headlines, to opinions, to fear, to noise, you feel something different. A stillness, not because the storm is small, but because your foundation is deeper than its reach. Listen carefully. The storm tests surface stability, but it cannot penetrate rooted certainty, and you have been rooted for years. Every silent season strengthened your depth. Every unanswered prayer stretched your endurance. Every delay built invisible muscle. You were not being ignored. You were being reinforced. That is why when the wind tries to shake you, you do not collapse. You observe. When chaos demands reaction, you respond with intention. That is not personality. That is preparation. You are not trying to be strong. You are strong. You are not pretending to be steady. You are steady. The world has been waiting for someone who does not mirror panic. Because panic multiplies storms, but calm redirects them. Have you noticed? When you enter a room filled with anxiety, something shifts. Not loudly, but subtly. Your presence lowers the temperature. Your words steady the atmosphere. Your silence speaks confidence. You don't chase attention. You anchor it. That is rare. And rare is always misunderstood before it is respected. The storm thought it would intimidate you, but instead, it revealed you. It revealed that you don't break under pressure. You clarify under pressure. You don't scatter under pressure. You focus. And here is the truth. Authority is not loud. Authority is stable. The wind is loud because it is temporary. Mountains are quiet because they are permanent. And you have become a mountain. Not overnight, not accidentally, but through every moment you thought you were being forgotten. You were becoming immovable. The calm you carry is not passive. It is powerful. It is the kind of calm that can look at chaos and say, you don't define me. It is the kind of calm that can stand in loss and say, this is not the end. It is the kind of calm that commands the wind without shouting at it. Most people try to fight storms emotionally. You outlast them spiritually because you understand something deeper. Storms exhaust themselves, but purpose does not. The world has been waiting for someone who understands that strength does not come from noise. It comes from alignment, and you are aligned with vision, aligned with calling, aligned with timing. Even when you doubted yourself, alignment was still working underneath the surface. Even when you felt unqualified, you were still positioned. The storm is not your enemy. It is your amplifier. It amplifies what was already inside you. If fear were inside you, fear would grow. If insecurity were inside you, it would surface. But what surfaced instead? Composure, clarity, conviction. That is how you know you were chosen before this began. Because you are not scrambling to become who you need to be. You already are. And now something is happening that few people recognize. The storm is starting to respond to you. Not because you control the weather, but because you control your center. And when your center is stable, external instability loses influence. Watch carefully. The same wind that tried to shake you is now clearing paths. The same pressure that tried to intimidate you is now strengthening your voice. The same chaos that tried to distract you is now revealing your leadership. This is what the world has been waiting for. Not another loud voice, not another dramatic reaction, but a steady presence, a grounded mind, a fearless heart. You are not here to compete with the storm. You are here to outlast it. Because calm is not the absence of power. It is controlled power, and you have learned control. Control over your emotions, control over your focus, control over your reactions, not perfectly, but intentionally. And intention is stronger than impulse. The storm is loud, but your calling is louder. And soon, very soon, the wind will begin to quiet. Not because it defeated you, but because it realized it could not move you. And when that moment comes, when others are recovering from panic and rebuilding from reaction, you will already be standing, not shaken, not bitter, not exhausted beyond repair. Standing with a calm that commands respect. Standing with a presence that shifts atmospheres. Standing as proof that you were chosen before the storm arrived. And the world will look at you and realize the storm didn't create this strength. It revealed it. When the sky clears and your name remains chosen, 1. Listen closely. The wind is slowing. The thunder is no longer arguing with the sky. The rain that once felt endless is now becoming memory. And this is the moment most people misunderstand. Because surviving the storm is one thing. Standing after it, unchanged in identity, clear in vision, stronger in spirit, that is something else. The sky is clearing now, and what remains is not debris. It is distinction. Storms remove what was temporary. They wash away what was unstable. They expose what was never rooted. Look around. Notice what didn't survive. Certain relationships, certain distractions, certain versions of yourself. They were not meant to, because elevation requires separation, and separation always feels like loss before it feels like freedom. You thought you were losing things, but you were shedding weight. The sky clears differently for those who were chosen before the storm. For some, it brings relief. For you, it brings recognition. Recognition of who you've become. Recognition of what you now carry. Recognition that you are not the same person who entered the storm. You are not fragile anymore. You are refined, not hardened, refined. There is a difference. Hardness builds walls. Refinement builds wisdom. And you carry wisdom now. The kind that cannot be taught in comfort. The kind that only pressure can produce. When the sky clears, people will start to see you differently. They will say, "You handled that well. You were strong. You stayed calm. You didn't fall apart." But they won't know the nights. They won't know the prayers whispered in exhaustion. They won't know the moments you almost gave up. And that's okay. Because this season was not about public applause. It was about private transformation. The world has been waiting, not for perfection, not for performance, but for proof. Proof that strength can be quiet. Proof that faith can be steady. Proof that identity can outlast instability. And you are that proof. Notice something powerful. The storm took many things, but it did not take your name. It did not erase your calling. It did not silence your voice. If anything, it amplified it. Because now when you speak about endurance, you speak from experience. When you talk about patience, you speak from survival. When you encourage others, your words carry weight. Weight built in wind, weight formed in rain, weight strengthened in isolation. This is the reward of being chosen before the storm. You don't just survive chaos, you become credible through it. The sky clearing is not the end of your story. It is the unveiling of your authority. People will look at you and wonder how you stayed steady, but what they're really seeing is preparation meeting opportunity. They're seeing destiny revealed. They're seeing someone who did not collapse under pressure. And here is the quiet truth. The storm bowed first, not publicly, not dramatically, but internally, because it could not break what heaven had built. And now the air feels different, clearer, lighter, wider, but you feel heavier, not in burden, in presence. You walk differently now. You speak differently now. You discern faster. You react slower. You trust deeper. That is growth. And growth always leaves evidence. The sky clears, but something else remains. Your influence, your steadiness, your example. There are people watching you who will never say it out loud. They are studying how you handled the storm. They are learning from your composure. They are gaining courage from your resilience. You became someone's answer without even knowing it. This is what the world has been waiting for. Not noise, not drama, not emotional chaos disguised as strength, but maturity, stability, conviction. And now that the storm has passed, you understand something most never will. You were never fighting to survive. You were stepping into alignment. The storm didn't delay you. It revealed you. And when the sky clears completely, when the sun fully returns, there will be one undeniable truth. You were chosen before the storm arrived. Chosen to stand. Chosen to endure. Chosen to remain. And now, when others search for direction, they will look at you. Because when the sky cleared, your name remained.